Hello class, this is Professor Jimenez. Welcome to the video on your professional portfolio. Now this is meant to be an introduction. There is going to be a second video that I will give you in week 3 that will contain much more detailed specific information about your topics. But tonight, what I wanted to do was really give you a flavor of what to expect to understand the basics of what is a professional portfolio. And more importantly, what I wanted to do was really just cover some of the elements that you'll be working on, and more importantly, give you a sense of what to expect. So the agenda for this particular video is as follows. First and foremost, the agenda in our overview slide is what is a portfolio, who uses it, why do you use it, and when and where do you use it. Again, because there are specific elements that make up a portfolio, but when you use the portfolio, when do you introduce it into the conversation, and where is key. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about what to expect during, not just after you watch this video, but what will be expected of you during the next 2 to 3 weeks. So with that, let's move on to the next element. In this case, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is a portfolio. Now, portfolio in its most simplest form is really a professional binder that supports and provides employers with all of the key pieces of information that you want to share with them in terms of showing them your experience, your education, your skills, and helps you to organize all that information in one centralized place. The portfolio is meant to be kind of like a representation of yourself, of your experiences, your skill, education, your work experience, etc. So in short, what is a portfolio? A portfolio is, in essence, a binder with all these elements. But what the goal of a professional portfolio is to help provide more details about you, the prospective employee, to your potential employer. This also means that the portfolio can also serve as a way to give a little bit extra details about you, but it also helps act as a way for your interviewer or potential employer to go back and learn a little bit more about you. Maybe during the interview they asked you a couple questions about your experiences. There could be items in your portfolio that might help them get a little bit more details or a greater understanding of what that really means. So your portfolio, in essence, is a living embodiment of all of your experiences, skill, education, etc. In addition, the portfolio can also be a place where you can show your organization skills and attention to detail, in that you have an opportunity to organize and put together something that shows all the different elements of your experience. So it's an opportunity to show some of your skills in action by showing how organized you are. And again, what levels of information are you putting into your portfolio? Last but not least, keep in mind that a portfolio can be used as a tool that helps to leave a lasting impression with an employer. The idea is that you want to differentiate yourself between, again, you interviewing number 1 versus the next 100 candidates that might come in. The question in every employer's mind is, what makes you different than someone else? This is where a portfolio can help in many ways. Let me rephrase that. A portfolio can help to give a little bit of differentiation. It highlights, wow, like you took some extra time and effort to put this stuff together. So it really does serve a great way to really differentiate you and make you stand out from the crowd. From a general, I would say, appearance perspective, the typical business portfolio, the typical interviewing portfolio, you'll hear these different names thrown around. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm just going to talk about it as the portfolio. When you look at a typical portfolio, it's typically a black binder. I would say on the more expensive end, it's usually like a black leather binder. In some cases, it could be a black binder or a 3-ring binder, similar to the binders you may have seen in years past where you used to put loose leaf paper in, or a 3-ring binder. The point is, typically they're black. More importantly, they have what we call sheet protectors inside, and the idea is that you put your supporting documentation into each of the pockets. So it gives you a way to not only protect the content, but also to share the content in a very professional way. And it contains the key documents that you want to show and highlight to your prospective employer when it comes to, again, showcasing your education, experience, and skills. Everything's always going to come back to education, experience, and skills. And I want you to remember that, because this is not only the foundation for the elements of your portfolio, but it's the foundation for how you're going to answer pretty much any question that you will encounter, or at least the majority of questions that you'll encounter when going to an interview. So, the question that some of you may be asking yourself is, well, this is great. We know that it's a black binder. We know that it has some sheet protectors. Well, what goes in a portfolio? Well, if you look at the current slide that says elements of a portfolio, these are the ones that we typically recommend to our students at Mildred Ellie. And when you look at the elements of a portfolio, it usually will include 4 sets of items. There's a cover letter, a resume, a reference sheet, and all of your certifications that you wish to share with your prospective employer. Now, for the purposes of the midterm, I only need to see drafts of your cover letter, resume, and reference sheet. Make sure you write this down, because this is what we need to see for your midterm. A draft of your cover letter, resume, and reference sheet. The certification, you can include photocopies of awards or certificates such as your CPR certification, your phlebotomy certification, EKG, etc. It can even include things like your being on the dean's list, attendance awards, etc. The point is, you can include all these elements in your portfolio, but in terms of your certifications, you don't have to include any certifications or copies of certifications until week 8. So for the next 2 weeks, I want you to focus on the first 3 elements: cover letter, resume, and reference sheet. The cover letter will be the most recent cover letter based on the job scenario that we will give you in week 3. Where you will go in and you will update it accordingly. This is an opportunity, again, for you to highlight in your cover letter why you are the right person for this job, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means next week in detail. Your resume should be your most up-to-date resume, including your educational experiences in terms of where you are in the program. We'll be talking about what to include, what not to include in your resume next week. The reference sheet is a pretty easy yet easily misunderstood item. The reference sheet should really be a list of those individuals who can vouch for you in terms of your skills, education, and abilities. These should not be relatives, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, etc. This is really meant to be professional references. So this is preferably someone that you used to work for. If you can't get somebody you used to work for, you have some options. You can get somebody that you used to work with. So this can be a colleague, another coworker. Could even be an instructor, a professor that you took a class with. The point is that this is really meant to be the opportunity to highlight those people that will vouch for you and talk about you in a professional way, about your skills, your ability, and overall education. Again, you're going to start gathering up some of your information around these items, but you'll be getting the templates in week 3. The key point is that you're going to start building out in week 3 your cover letter, resume, and reference sheet. But these are, again, the elements that you will find in your portfolio. Well, the question you might ask yourself is, who uses this? Who uses professional portfolios? And the answer is, professionals do. People like you. What you'll find is that regardless of whether you are an LPN, a medical assistant, a paralegal, a business administration student, or even a massage therapy student, regardless of what field you are in, a professional portfolio can benefit you and support you when you go to highlight not only your skills and ability, but again, It helps you to stand out from the pack. So, why use a portfolio? Here are 4 reasons. And again, there's many reasons why you want to use a portfolio, but I simplified it down to these 4 core elements that I would encourage you to take a look at. The first one is you use a portfolio to showcase your work and experience. That's really the summary of that, right? You use your portfolio to showcase your work and experience. You then use your portfolio to organize your content and documents. Again, it's a great way to showcase your organization skills and to show that you've gone the extra mile by preparing a portfolio. The third thing you want to consider of why would you use a portfolio is you want to use the portfolio to showcase your certifications and achievements. It's important for you to highlight why you're different than other candidates. So if you have your certifications, if you have awards, this is the place for you to put it in. It's not just enough for you to talk about them, but you can show them in your portfolio. Last but not least, you use the portfolio to help you stand out against other applicants for a job. Again, in every job situation, the goal is always the same. How do I stand out in comparison to other people who are applying for the same role? So this is why you need to have a portfolio. So when do you use a portfolio? Quite simply, every time you go to an interview. When you go to an interview, you should bring it with you. Some people like to give their portfolio to the interviewer in the beginning. Some will hold on to it until the interview starts, and then during the interview they may introduce it. Others may go through the entire interview and not present it until the very end. You have the option of using it at different stages. I would try to point them to your portfolio in the beginning, just because it might be a great conversation starter to help break the ice and really show, again, upfront how proactive you are in preparing this information. So, last but not least, what are you expected to do next? So again, this week I just wanted to introduce the concept of the portfolio to you. The second thing I want you to do is to start thinking about, again, look for your old resume, because we're going to update it. You need to update your resume with the most current information. So start looking for your old resumes. Start looking for, who have you used in the past for references? Can you use them now? And if not, who would you potentially ask to be your reference today if you want to go and create a reference sheet? Again, start thinking about your resume and your references. Next week, during week 3, as noted on the slide, I will be providing you all with templates in week 3 in terms of your reference, cover letter, and resume that you'll be updating. So this way you have a chance to work on them during week 3, and then you'll submit them towards the end of week 4. The goal is that you will then get your drafts corrected and sent back to you during the end of week 5, and we will use the remainder of the mod to really give you the chance to update them, correct them, and then update them and have them ready for final submission during weeks 7 and 8. So that's where we are. Any questions? Again, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to email me. Many of you have been reaching out to me. And again, things are going to get very, very interesting in the next week. So get yourself ready, and we will be talking very soon. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.